News. Now.
On News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
Another busy day here as we bounce right from the Virginia election results right into the GOP debate and the Trump rally last night, and we got you covered all across the board. Also coming up at 6:35, Gary Higgins on his victory in Northern Virginia. 7:05, Sean Spicer on all of the above. 7:35, Bob Anderson, your new Commonwealth's attorney, Loudoun County. Honestly, the most important victory of Tuesday, getting Buddha Bibarai out of there. And then at 8:35, Senator Katie Britt will join us. She's got a brand new book out. I'm Larry O'Connor with Patrice Onwuka. Good morning, Patrice.
Yeah. Good morning. Good post-debate morning.
Yeah, and we've got a lot to talk about. We spent a lot of time there, obviously, talking about the little dust-up between Vivek Ramaswamy and Ronna McDaniel. Mm-hmm. I was in the spin room afterwards. I grabbed her, and you heard not only what she had to say about that, but also about the Virginia elections. We'll get into more of that. I also pulled aside Hogan Gidley. Hogan Gidley, of course, was the deputy press secretary for the Trump White House, worked the entire 4 years of the presidency, and was terrific. I think he's one of the smartest guys in political communications today. He was there giving analysis for NBC News, which say what you will about NBC News, bringing in Hogan Gidley and Mary Catherine Ham as some of the political analysts on their panel discussion, I think is really smart.
Absolutely. And
they're really good minds. I pulled Hogan aside a bit and got his take on the debate and where the election stands right now, and here's that. Hogan Gidley, former spokesperson for the White House and doing yeoman's work for NBC tonight, right?
I am, absolutely.
What did you think of the debate?
I don't think it changes anything, but I thought that the questions were substantive, the answers were substantive. Whenever the moderators aren't the story, that's kind of a good thing. Although, there were some fireworks here and there.
I think Vivek made a pretty good point. I mean, you guys are trying to hold us accountable. You still haven't been held accountable for Russian collusion. I mean, you had to deal with that in the White House.
It's always a good moment when you can call out the media for the stuff they do to us, and he took that opportunity to do it. Remember when Newt Gingrich went after Juan Williams in South Carolina back in 20?
Vividly.
He ought to send Juan Williams a fruit basket and some flowers as a thank you, because it made him shoot up in the polls because of it. So it's low-hanging fruit to go after the media because, there's a reason their popularity is somewhere between Congress and COVID. Because they're always, they're always doing the wrong thing.
There goes Governor DeSantis. He just did his NBC. Do you think Governor DeSantis did enough to separate himself from the pack and get closer to Trump's numbers?
From the pack tonight, no.
Wow.
From get closer to Trump's numbers, no.
Mm-hmm.
Look, everyone's up there saying we're going to do everything he already did. So it's a tough place to be in. I mean, it's hard to break out when you're trying to say, I promise I'll put in place the policies that the first guy did. When the first guy did it, he'll do it again. There's some nuances and some differences here and there, but I don't know if it's enough to break out. Look, nothing really matters, I think, anymore until people start voting. That's what's going to matter. And I work for someone in Rick Santorum and Mike Huckabee were at 1%, didn't catch fire till Christmas in Iowa. And so we know that can happen, but Trump is a former president, which is a big difference than any other time. And he's up 40 points, for heaven's sake. So it's a tough task for anybody.
See, you mentioned Rick Santorum, Mike Huckabee, and I see Tim Scott up there is sort of in that lane, right? Really nice guy, good on family values. But I'm almost thinking he's too nice for today's GOP. For a post-Trump era, can a nice guy even win the nomination?
A nice guy can, of course.
And I'm not saying President Trump isn't nice, but you know what I mean.
I know what you're saying. Look, Tim Scott is my senator. I'm from South Carolina. I love Tim. Just gave him a hug a second ago. Did a good job tonight, too. Had some great lines about country and very uplifting. I mean, look, his story going from cotton to Congress. Come on. That is the American dream to face the adversity and confront the problems of the past and then succeed in spite of those. His story is amazing. But I don't know that he is where the base is right now. I mean, I think people are looking for a little more anger, a little more, urgency out there. And I don't know that he has that. Doesn't mean he's not a great guy. Doesn't mean he's not a great senator. It's just I don't know that that's going to be. It's kind of a Mike Pence lane, if you will. And I work with Mike Pence, so I was with him in the White House. But I think right now the voters looking for somebody a little more fiery because they see what the incoming is with the left. They see the weaponization of the three-letter agencies going after people if you like the wrong tweet or come on the wrong live stream.
No, I saw the
I mean?
comment you made on the NBC pre-debate show about that right in the last few minutes. It was brilliant. We were all cheering you on for that one because that is existential to freedom of speech.
No question. And it's unbelievable to me that so many other members of the media aren't angry and doing reports on censorship when their whole livelihood is built upon freedom of speech.
Well, the problem is many of them benefited from who was being silenced.
Yeah,
so
that's a whole other thing.
Last question. It took about an hour and a half to get to a question about abortion, about life. It's a fundamental issue for Republican voters, and it was framed within yesterday's election results. Were you satisfied by the answers that you heard on stage? Because this is an issue that Republicans need to be able to talk about and win with.
Yeah, they should, and they can. Look, I think people need to understand the way to talk about it. And there's a way to discuss our side, the standing up for life. But there's also a political reality that exists. That not everyone is 100% pro-life. They have some different options out there. But then also the part that I want to see was we need to go on the offense here because the left, every single U.S. senator but one voted for a bill that would allow for abortion anywhere, anytime. For any reason up until the moment of birth, and they want you to pay for it. And 90% of the country rejects that. We have to make them answer for their position. I'll defend my position on life. They need to defend their position on death. And when you understand that most Americans are somewhere in that 15, 16 week, they understand 4 months that we need to start thinking about it. That's where I think we need to find that sweet spot.
Why aren't you working for one of those candidates? Seriously, why couldn't any one of them say what you just said?
Well, I don't work for him. That's why. You know what I mean?
See, we got to get this guy a job.
Tape.
There you go.
No.
We'll send it along.
I'm doing fine now, but I'm doing some stuff over at American First Policy Institute. We're about to start releasing these kind of talking points and trying to get people on the same page. Because, you have to talk about adoption, of course. You have to talk about it's not just the child. It's the mother, too, right? You have two lives at stake here, and you have to figure out how to talk and communicate with the rest of the country so that people understand your position is one that is sane, that is rational, and reduces abortions. That's what it's about, right? Protecting women and reducing the number of abortions. The left will never agree to that because that's not what they want.
Always a great conversation. Hogan Gidley. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
If political communications is an art, Hogan Gidley is Pablo Picasso. He's just one of the best. And as you heard, I wish the candidates were as good about talking about these issues as he was.
Well, I mean, he said so much. I mean, he talked about just broadly how substantive the discussions were yesterday. There were some nuances, and he's absolutely right, but it was mostly, okay, I can do Trump, but Trump better. I think he was absolutely spot on about how to talk about the abortion issue beyond just a baby's life. And a baby's life is paramount. Yes, we understand that, but there's also still other factors. And there's a political reality versus a purist reality. He made that distinction, which is really important. You can be a purist, but then you're not winning politically. And how do we thread the needle to do both? And so I thought he was fantastic. I'm sure. I could absolutely see him as a press secretary or comms director in the next Trump administration if there is one.
Listen, a lot of people think that Tim Scott's answer on abortion was one of the better ones. We caught up with Senator Cory Gardner, who was spinning for Tim Scott. You'll hear what he had to say next.